Okay, I'm going to do a quick little video here. A lot of people are wanting to buy laying hens now. It's because of the scarcity of eggs. And there's some things you ought to know. Okay, number one thing, there's a thing called chicken math. And you can get in trouble with chicken math really quick if you're not careful. So, here's what chicken math is. Just as an example, and they don't sell every breed of chicken there is, but Cackle Hatchery, that I buy my day-old chicks from when I buy them, they've advertised that they have 102 varieties of chicken, and some of them are really cool looking. And what happens, you buy chickens, and then you get into it, and chickens are kind of fun, believe it or not. They're chicken football. One of these days, I'm going to do a chicken football video. Not to mention, if you spend a lot of time with them, they can get pretty tame depending on the breed you get. So, okay, you have to be careful of chicken math because you'll end up having a bunch of chickens that just look cool. Okay? Now, if that's what you like, that's what you want, okay, I'm just warning you. You got to be careful of chicken math. Chickens can become an addiction. I'm warning you. Okay, so if you gotta, there's some things you need to think about before you buy chickens, and I'm sure you've already thought of shelter. And you got to think about where you're located and what your goals are with chickens. If you're just wanting to have a few eggs, okay, like I said, number one thing you got to think about how you're going to raise these chickens. Are you going to have them, are you going to free range? Which I wouldn't advise complete free range. It's a good way to lose chickens. Now, we've always done kind of a mix. If we're going to be outside most of the day or in the evening, we'll go let the chickens out, let them roam, watch them scratch around, and they're good for pest control. They're ticks and bugs and things. They're really good for that too. So, you're just wanting eggs. Well, shelter, you got to have some way to contain them. Because I don't advise just complete free range. Now, a lot of people do. Daniel Arms just did a video, but he's got a livestock guardian dog that's around there keeping predators chased off. That doesn't mess with his chickens. You got to be careful of dogs. Your dog, you got to socialize your dog with chickens. First of all, you got to make sure that they understand they're not to be played with, because playing with them leads to one getting killed, and then you got a chicken killing dog on your hands. Don't say, oh, my dog won't do it. It can happen. You got to keep an eye on that thing until you're extremely sure. Otherwise, you lose chickens. But you got to worry about, predators of all kinds. Dogs, feral dogs, stray dogs, neighborhood dogs. If you got a neighbor that's got a dog that's wandering around over at your house, you got to make sure you can protect your chickens from it. Or you and your neighbor is going to have problems. You got to have some type of fencing, because you can't just put them in a coop, which I think of a coop as a house. It's just enclosed, and you got to have some kind of run for them. And leaving them in the same place all the time isn't really a good idea. That's how my folks kind of were a hybrid of free range and coops. But mostly they kept them pinned up. They had a big chicken house. Well, depends on how you consider big. I mean, it was probably 12 by 12 maybe, building with a concrete floor, you know. But they would not incubate, but brood their chickens in there. They had a huge brooder that almost filled it up. Dad found somewhere. You just plug it in. It had light bulbs up underneath. And you could put them day-old chicks in there and they'd stay comfortable heat-wise. That's something else with, if you buy day-old chicks, you got to have some way to keep them warm, and they really have to be protected. Day-old chicks. You can get chicks in the mail. Every one of your hatcheries will mail them to you. You have to go to the post office and pick them up. They won't deliver them to you. And they need a small area that you can control the temperature in. First thing you get them, you give them a little bit of sugar water, or you can buy a solution to mix with your water, but they need something like that for the first day, and a little bit of chick starter. You get them, you dip each one of them's beak in that water. They'll figure out the food. You don't have to teach them that, but you want to show them where that water is, because they're going to be thirsty. You know, they will have been in the mail, I don't know, 10, 12 hours, so they need water as soon as you can get it to them. You should have it ready. It should be warm. Their area should be warm. There's all kinds of options out there for keeping them warm. A lot of people don't like heat lamps. I still use a heat lamp just because I don't have the money to buy the little special heaters. They're a little more expensive than a heat lamp. But, okay, and you got to change their bedding. Whatever you use for bedding. Most people get wood chips. We've used wood chips. We've used newspaper. I think wood chips are probably a little better. But you got to change that like every day. Keep them from getting sick. Otherwise, you're raising baby confinement birds. But anyway, okay. Once they got feathers on them, they're fully feathered out. They're okay to go outside. But you got to have somewhere to protect them. You got to have a fence that they can't get out of. Because they're still pretty small. They're still probably about that big around. First thing you got to decide, though, is what breed you're going to get. What do you want to do with your chickens? I know I'm jumping around a lot. I was going to make some notes for this video, but I didn't. Do you want laying breeds? Do you want white eggs? Do you want brown eggs? Do you not care? If you want a lot of eggs, a good laying breed of chicken, and not all of them are a really good laying breed of chickens will lay one egg every 25 hours. And some of your better laying breeds, Australorps, brown egg layers, they're pretty close to that one egg every 25 hours. Your two Leghorn breeds are, and they just kind of go downhill from there. You know, go to a hatchery's website, Cackle Hatcheries, where I get mine. It's just cacklehatchery.com. I've had real good luck with them. And check out the chickens. Like I said, be careful of chicken math, especially starting out. And then you're going to be about 6 months before you get any eggs. Unless you go buy a chicken that's already laying. And you got to be careful getting chickens that are at point of lay. A chicken is at its peak laying time for about 6 to 18 months. And then after that, it starts to taper off. Also, they will molt. I mentioned this in another video. They will molt, my experience says, late August, early September, anywhere from a week to 2 months. And they may completely stop laying, or they may just slow down. And you want to look, too, if you want consistent eggs all year round, then you need to look for hens that are good winter layers. And your hatchery should have that in their description. Again, Leghorns and Australorps are good. You do not need a rooster to get eggs. And, you know, some people don't like roosters. I like to have a rooster. My experience, and people will argue with me, and that's fine. I don't. That's whatever. But I like to have a rooster because, in my experience, a rooster will sacrifice himself trying to fight off a predator. Now he's probably going to get killed, but sometimes on a young dog, maybe or a small dog, that rooster may intimidate them enough that they, may even hurt them enough. A rooster can have spurs on them about an inch. About an inch long or longer. Some of them inch and a half, and they get pretty sharp. They're like spikes. Not to mention, they can beat you with them wings. Them wings hurt too when they hit you with them. And, that can scare a puppy or a small dog. But that's why I like to keep a rooster. Plus, I don't mind if my chickens if one hen goes broody and sets on some. If you have a hen that goes broody and that's a hen that is setting on eggs, make sure that you mark the eggs she's setting on. And you've got to check that nest every day too, because other chickens will get in there with her and lay eggs. And if you don't mark, and sometimes they will give up. It takes 21 days to hatch a chicken egg. And some hens, they go broody, but they give up after a few days. You want to mark them eggs. I didn't once, and we had some egg customers crack open some almost fully developed chicks. Yeah, you don't want that. So yeah, you want to mark your eggs. And you can when you check on look in your hatchery website, they'll tell you which ones are likely to go broody and all of that. That's things you got to watch for. You got to make decisions before you buy them. Know what you're getting. Let's see. Then you got to, chicks. The baby chicks need chick starter for a few months. It's a higher protein than regular feed. Stress will cause chickens to stop laying. An extreme change in weather like we had back right before Christmas last year, where the temperature dropped down to -5, -9, something like that. Our chickens quit laying. But they were burning all the protein that they got from the feed to just stay warm. So they quit laying. And things like that will happen. You have a dog that comes out and stresses them out, or a raccoon, possum, fox. All of those things will kill chickens. A fox will get in there and kill every chicken you've got. I've seen it happen. And I know it was a fox because I was out there. I caught him in the act. He'd already killed about half of my chickens when I got out there. And they'll do it quick. So you got to watch them things. You got to have predator-proof pens. And you're still going to lose some once in a while, so be prepared for that. And those are some of the things that you got to watch for. And that's having chickens. And if there's anybody watching my channel that's thinking about chickens, those are things you need to think about. If you know somebody that's got chickens, talk to them. There's a whole lot of marginal advice out there. I've seen people. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. So, if you're getting into chickens, you got to be prepared for them when they get there. I know with Cackle Hatchery, and you can, they ship on, I believe it's Tuesdays, so that you get your chicks on Wednesday. So, you can pick your shipping date when they will arrive. but they only do it 1 day a week. Or that's the last time I bought chickens. You call them up on the phone, talk to them. They usually have a fax list. Talk to your hatchery. Be prepared. Have food bought. Have water ready. You know, if you know they're going to be here on Wednesday, Tuesday night, get your water out, get it ready, get it set up, get your pen set up, your brooding area. And you want to have something that you can cover the top of whatever it is, because it doesn't take long. They're jumping, trying to fly. And they can fly a little bit by about 4 or 5 weeks. I mean, you'll see if you know, buy baby chicks. Let me see. Yeah, and there's a lot of good videos out there for brooding chicks and all that. I don't think I've done one, but anyway. So once you get, and then while they're growing, make sure you're getting your pen ready, your run, whatever you want to call it, and their coop ready, or their house, whatever you want to call that. Have something. They don't have to have heat. My chicken -9 degrees, and they did just fine. We just had to make sure they had food and plenty of water that they could drink. Winter time, the water is a necessity, as much, if not more, than the summertime. Make sure your pen is predator proof as much as you can make it, and be prepared, you know, to get up in the middle of the night to a commotion and go out and, you know, something be after your chickens. And of course, that all depends on where you're living. Cats could be a problem for chickens, especially smaller chickens. Like I said, chickens are pretty easy keepers once you get them grown. And, you know, remember, a really good laying chicken only lays 1 egg every 25 hours on average. So I was going to do the math on that and tell you, you know, about how many you could probably, one chicken probably give you a half dozen eggs in a week. You know, but you don't want to buy just one chicken. You want 2 or 3, because they are, you know, birds are flock animals. Plus, when it's cold, the more bodies you have, the easier it is to warm. So, alright, well, this video took a lot longer than I thought, and I hope that it made sense to everybody. But I know there's a lot of people out there looking to get into chickens. And I know there's a lot of people, I see them on Facebook and Craigslist, and where can I get some laying hens at? I want some laying hens right now. Well, I want to warn you, you're buying hens off of Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or just Facebook, you can't be sure what you're getting. They may be laying eggs, but there may be 2-3-year-old chickens, and they don't lay very good. I mean, chicken can live quite a while, 5-10 years, I think, or longer, but they don't lay well that whole time. And while every chicken will lay eggs, some breeds don't lay very well. Silkies don't lay very well. I mean, you'll get 2 or 3 eggs a week from them, maybe. The Silkie we had, she laid like 1 egg a month, but I think she was an older hen when we got her. It's just things to look out for. And there's a lot of, if you live here like me, there's a lot of chicken swaps around. And be careful when you go there. You know, kind of take time and look at the chickens. I got took myself last summer. I believe I did. I went down and bought some chickens from some folks. I bought 10 chickens because I wanted to lay, like people are now. I wanted some chickens that were laying right now because I didn't want to mess with waiting. Well, I bought 10 chickens and we've only got 1 of them left. They just, I don't know what the deal was. They just weren't healthy birds. And you got, like I said, before you get chickens, you got to know how you're going to raise them, and try to find somebody that is raising chickens the way you want to raise yours, if you can. And if you can find somebody, preferably some old timer that's always had chickens, as a mentor, talk to them. Most people are happy to share what they know about chickens, unless they're trying to get something over on you. And even then, they'll give you all kinds of information. And so, as they say, buyer beware. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Like I said, 21, 22 weeks, 24 weeks is supposed to be the earliest a chicken starts to lay. And they don't lay real good right at the start, and you're going to get small eggs. And that's another thing. You got to decide what size eggs you want. I mean, you got some that lays, if it's a small chicken, it's going to lay small eggs. But the bigger the chicken doesn't necessarily mean the bigger the eggs. I had some Jersey Giants, and they laid a large egg. But these Tractor Supply Golden Comets I bought 2 years ago, they lay bigger eggs than those Jersey Giants did. And the Jersey Giants, half again the size of these Golden Comets. So, just do some research before you jump into it. If you do your research and you get what you really want, chickens are fun. We first got chickens. Rhonda was kind of hesitant, and she'd never raised chickens. She lived in town her whole life. And we got them. We got set up out here, and we got them feathered out, got them out in the pen, and I showed Rhonda chicken football. And she would come out here. We'd have some old bread that was going to stale or something. She'd come out here and sit down and throw that out a piece at a time and watch them play chicken football with it. It's funny. But anyway, I'm going to wind this up. I took way longer than I thought I would. I should have made some notes and everything. I hope it's clear. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. So, with that, let's look out for each other. Let's help each other out all we can. And let's all pray.